Celia Kibler.
And I'm Dr. Kailey Buller.
Welcome to Raising Eyebrows. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Raising Eyebrows, our new mini-series on the Be a Better Parent podcast, where we really discuss all of that stuff you hear, all of that clickbait, all of the things that you're like, really? We are your weekly dose of sanity through all of that, and we tell you like it is. So you're not getting 80,000 opinions from 80,000 people. You can get it from us, and our opinions will, of course, be right.
Or at least evidence-based.
Right.
Right.
So don't worry about those other people. Take our opinion. All right. So let me tell you who we are in case this is your first time joining us in the Raising Eyebrows mini-series. I am Celia Kibler, and I am a family and relationship empowerment coach, and I've been around for a very long time. I've been a real-life mommy for over 43 years and a grandma to 9 children. And 30 of those parenting years, I was successfully parenting and still am a blended family. I'm the founder of beabetterparent.com, the founder of the Day of Calm Foundation, and the co-founder of FunFit Family Fitness. And I bring all this experience to you so that you can get easy to do solutions to the situations that, approach you every day, and also become a proactive parent instead of an emotionally reactive parent. And with me is Dr. Kailey Buller. And Dr. Kailey is a double board certified doctor, a real live doctor, I play one on TV, in family and emergency medicine. And we bring all this experience to you. And she is also mommy. We bring all this experience to you so you can really hear the true science behind things that you need to be doing in a different way, maybe not necessarily better, just a different look at it, and things that you're like, oh gosh, I feel so stressed and pressured by the world telling me this, but it doesn't feel right to me. What should I do? Mm-hmm. So that's what we're doing here. If you missed the previous episodes, the first one was on breastfeeding. The second one was on sleep training. And today, we're going to talk to you about those toddlers. I wrote the award-winning book, Raising Happy Toddlers, How to Build Great Parenting Skills and Stop Yelling at Your Kids. I like to say that super fast. Mom's Choice Award winner, International Impact Book Award for Parenting winner. And I wrote it like a manual. So you know how they always say, oh, kids don't come with a manual. Well, now they do. So pick up the book and put it on your bookshelf. You can't listen to it on Audible because, frankly, I haven't recorded that yet. But it should be on your bookshelf anyway because you should use it as a constant reference manual. So today we're talking about what I do with my toddler. How do I discipline this little kid that's from age infancy to 5 years approximately? And that's what we're going to talk about today. So welcome to Raising Eyebrows. Dr. Buller, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. So glad to be back. I love this show. It's so great. And I think one of the things I love the most about it is you've got this wonderful experience and all this knowledge for young kids to older kids. And I've niched down a little bit. So, I do emergency medicine and labor and delivery now exclusively. I don't do any family practice. It turns out I hated it actually. So I don't do that anymore.
Well, that's good. But we should love what we do.
Right. I do. And I love emergency medicine. I love labor and delivery. And going through all of that and having kids of my own, I realized that experience really helped me like zero. Like there really wasn't a great deal of that medical experience that helped me become a mom, and becoming a mom has made me a way better doctor, not the other way around. And so I wrote the Surviving Tiny Humans manual, which is from age 0 to 1 year, which is great. So now we have this wonderful sort of generational experience. We've got you, you've got me, you've got the older kids, I got the younger kids, and I think that the two of us together make a really great team. And I'm very excited to be talking about a lot of these things because they're so controversial. And I mean, that's why we called it Raising Eyebrows, because so many people think that these decisions are going to give their kids like a permanent complex if they get
Yes.
it wrong, or that it matters a great deal. And for a lot of the things, it just doesn't. But this one today, I think is a really important topic because it's so hard to know how to set boundaries, how to discipline kids, especially when they're little. Like, when does it start? What do you do? How do you set those foundations? And I think it's great that we're going to be talking about that today.
I agree. And there's so much, um, what do you call trauma fear? There's so much
Mhm,
fear put out there. If you do this, you're causing trauma for your kids. If you do this will be permanently traumatic for your kids.
mhm,
And the
mhm,
truth is, limits, boundaries, consequences
mhm.
are never traumatic. They're
No.
actually traumatic if you don't have limits, boundaries, and
Exactly.
consequences.
Kids, especially young kids, thrive in a setting of boundaries. They don't know how the world works yet. They don't know what the rules are. They don't know what physics and gravity are. They don't know that if they fall off of this thing, it's going to have consequences, right? There are so many things that they need to learn. A lot of the evidence does show that kids do better in a structured environment with clear boundaries, consistent boundaries.
Yes. And
Mhm.
and and concise expectations.
Mhm.
You know, the opposite of not the opposite. The definition of disappointment, which we experience a lot of as parents, is not satisfying our expectations, is having the situation go against what we expected and we get disappointed. But
Mhm.
so often in parenting, we forget to even make those expectations clear.
Yeah.
So you're faulting your kids or even your partner
Mhm.
because the expectations weren't met.
Hmm.
But
That's a
yet
big one, isn't
no
it?
one
Yeah.
knows the expectations but you.
Exactly. Yeah. You keep them a secret, you keep them locked away, and then you're surprised when no one's meeting them. I think that's really important. I mean, communication is key, especially with a partner, but it's like definitely with your kids. You've got to tell them. You got to tell them the way that it is.
Right.
And that sounds harsh. Like, no, tell them the way that it is. No, you
We're not like, you know,
no, tell them how it is. No, you have to let them know what is expected. Absolutely.
exactly. And and you have to remember you always have to take in consideration the age of your child. One thing you have to realize is this is not a little adult.
Hmm.
This is a little human. And like little elephants, little birds, little anything, alligators, name that animal, name that species. They have to grow up. They have to learn from the point that they're born something.
Hmm.
And humans know the least. They're like the least able to be independent. And they have a brain that doesn't fully develop until they're 25.
Hmm.
So if you're a mommy and you're 18 and there's nothing wrong with it, you're 20, you're 22, you're 23, 24, 25, you're not even working with a fully developed brain until 25.
Hmm.
And so many parents don't understand that. And they wonder, well, why is my kid so impulsive? Well, they're so impulsive because that prefrontal cortex that controls impulsivity isn't even developed yet.
That's
So what are
right.
you left with? Impulse.
Absolutely. You're so right. Yeah. And again, that prefrontal cortex, that's the last thing. That's the last thing to be formed fully. So it makes it extra hard, especially if you are a young parent. You're right. And I'm actually really glad you brought that up. I didn't even think about that really. But if you are a young parent, you're struggling with that impulsivity too. So having some of the scripts or the tools for when you're in those moments, oh my goodness, can they be so beneficial? I was an old mom. I was 30 when I had my first. It's a little bit different. But absolutely. I mean, you look at some of these younger parents, and I delivered actually a couple of babies just yesterday, one at 3 in the morning last night.
Woo!
Both to really young parents, and thankfully their moms were there because I think that generational support is so incredibly important.
Absolutely.
But you have to find the balance, right? So you've got the generational support to help, but also things have changed since then. So finding a voice that you can trust. Hopefully that's us. It might not be us, and you might not love this show, and that's totally okay because there's different ways to parent. There's no one way, but having some tools in your tool belt for those hard moments is going to be so helpful.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's good that you mentioned that about the generational support because very important, but also, and we're not going to dive into this on that on this show, this, that, whatever. Um, but we will dive into it one day. But it's
Mhm.
also important that, the generations, the grandparents know certain boundaries.
Mhm.
They have to respect you. Yeah, I'm a parenting expert. I've written books. I'm an international speaker, a podcast host. I never interject my opinion on my children.
Mhm.
If
Oh,
I see
that's so
something that they
nice.
might get help by, I will ask
Mhm.
before saying.
Mhm.
And they always know they can ask me, but it's not my place. It's not
Yeah.
my place to
Yeah.
interject my opinion where may not be wanted.
Mhm.
So it's an important thing to remember. But so let's dive into what is it about these little toddlers and infants,
Mhm.
and do we discipline them? Do they get punished? Do that whole concept of my 8-month-old is not listening. What do I do?
Right? Yeah. Well, and that's I mean, I laugh a little bit, but that's a legitimate question
Well,
because they're
because people
not gonna,
ask it.
yes, right? You've got, especially when they're starting to toddle, like right around that sort of 10 months, they're starting to really motor around. And they're gonna get into all sorts of things, right? And so if they're getting themselves into a dangerous situation in particular, right, what do you do? And if they're in a dangerous situation, you don't just, you don't do gentle parenting in a moment like that, but you're also not gonna punish them because they're not
Right.
necessarily
There's
doing
no
anything
punishment because
wrong.
they don't know. Right.
Exactly. And so and I think that's sort of the framework that I suggest that you take to all scenarios, right? If this weren't just annoying, if this weren't just inconvenient, if it were dangerous, how would you handle it? You would stop the behavior and you would say what is expected. And I mean, that's really the bottom line for these really littles, is you have to stop the behavior for them most of the time. And if they're not listening to you, they might not even understand what you're saying, first of all.
Right.
But
They
if
may
they're not
not get
listening,
anything.
you don't get into a power struggle with them. You don't like negotiate them off the ledge. They're climbing the bookshelf. You're not going to be like, please come down. Right? That's not how that works. You're gonna go, oh my God, you're gonna grab them, you're gonna
You're
pull
going to
them down
get
off the
them off.
bookshelf. Hmm.
Right. They
And
don't
then
know.
you're gonna say, you know, and this is actually the thing that I wanted to bring up really early on. You don't say we don't climb the bookshelf with our young kids. You don't say the word don't. And the reason for that is not because of gentle parenting and da, 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 da. No, it's because the kid is only going to hear the verb that comes after.
We think so much alike.
Oh, good. Oh, I'm so glad.
I'm
So
like always amazed when you say things, and I'm like it's coming out of my mouth,
almost like we practiced this. But you
which
see,
we
you
did. And then I noticed we matched today. Did you notice we matched? Okay,
oh,
so
I like
go
that.
ahead. Let's
No,
go
but
back on to what we're talking about.
but if you say don't climb or don't stand in the bathtub, right? That was a big one for my kids. Like don't stand in the bathroom. If you're saying don't stand, they hear the word stand and they don't
Correct.
understand the negative, right? So one of the things that we're going to be doing with our really young kids, especially when language acquisition is still in those early stages, is you say the action that you want.
Yes, that's what
So
they'll hear.
we sit when we're in the bath. We sit on our bum. We sit down, and you'll put them on their bum. You'll put them on their bum in the bath. And I had to do that 100 times because they wanted to be stand until they learned, no, mommy's not going to let me stand up in this bathtub.
Yeah, it's very important. It's like the difference of don't spill your milk compared to handing them a cup and saying, thank you for being careful with your cup. They're
Yes.
going to hear
Mhm.
careful with your cup
Mhm.
as opposed to spill your milk. And then,
Right.
okay,
Right.
well, I get to spill my
Absolutely.
milk.
I heard
Woo!
spill my
Woo, I
milk.
wanted to pour it out anyway. But that, and even that technique that I teach a lot of my parents of saying thank you for something you
Mhm.
expect, even if it hasn't occurred yet.
Yep.
Thank you for picking up your truck when you're done. Thank you for an older kid taking out the trash when you get home from school. And they're like, well,
Mhm.
I didn't even get home from school.
Mhm.
Well, but I know you will.
And they
And I'm
know the
thanking you.
expectation is there and that yes, and
And
that
you're
it's
sending
appreciated.
a
Hmm.
message that you believe in them.
Hmm.
It's a great little twist.
Yeah, I love that actually. I'm gonna have to start using that.
But it's also stating the direction
Hmm.
in a positive way, not a
Hmm.
negative way.
Hmm.
And a reminder like, don't forget, blah, 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 sounds so
Hmm.
negative,
Hmm. Yep.
and says, I don't believe in you. You're not going to remember. So I'm going to remind you.
Hmm. And a fun little sort of, I wouldn't say twist, but another way to do that that I really enjoy is the redirect, right? So when my daughter was young, for example, she loved helping me unload the dishwasher. And she would always go for the knives. Like, I don't know
There's
why.
some about a knife.
She would always go, and her little tiny hands would curl around a knife.
Out
And
of
I
all the
would,
things,
all the
let's
things that
find the
are there,
knife.
right? And so, and you know what? And I would say, thank you so much for helping mommy. Why don't we grab these plates instead of mummy's knives, sharp knives, right? Why don't we grab these plates? Can you grab these plates for me instead? And redirecting instead of saying, no, don't do that. No, don't grab those. No, don't do that. Right? Oh, thank you so much for helping mommy. I'm so glad. Why don't we take these non-breakable dishes that are on the bottom shelf
And do
and put
that.
those away in
Thank
the
you.
drawer? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you follow up. You say, do you know where these ones go? Right? You almost make it a bit of a game. Can you open up that drawer? Where do they belong? Do you remember? And just distract them, right? Redirect.
And kids love to be big. Your
Hmm.
kids want to help you. And so if you wait till they're 8 or 9 to give them chores, I like to call household responsibilities,
Hmm.
then they're going to fight back because they've
Hmm.
never had to do them before. But if you start including your little ones in the day-to-day household responsibilities, then it's all normal. It's not, oh, I got to get home and I got to do the laundry. It should be, oh, it's Wednesday. Wednesday night's laundry night. Come on,
Yep.
everybody, let's do
Yep.
laundry. And
Yeah.
even your little ones can fold washcloths. Who cares how you fold a washcloth or
Absolutely. Oh,
underwear?
yeah.
I
Oh, and
mean,
my kids love being bulldozers and forklifts and helping me get the laundry into the washing machine. You can make every chore into a game pretty much. They love
yeah.
it.
If
Hmm.
it's fun, you'll get it done. It's my little rhyming thing for today.
Like that little motto. If it's fun, you'll get
Thank
it
you.
done.
Thank you.
Oh,
Add
excellent.
music,
Hmm.
like, you know, blow up balloons. If you underinflate balloons,
Hmm.
okay, because I am a kids fitness expert, having done it for 4 decades of my life. If you underinflate balloons, and you have to get good balloons, so time out for a balloon discussion. Do not buy them from the dollar store; they're garbage. But you can get them at Target. There's like 75 balloons for $6, something like that. Those are good balloons. Party store balloons are good balloons, 9-inch balloons. You underinflate them. When you underinflate them, the skin of the balloon is not so thin
Hmm.
and they're easily gripped by a toddler. They can squeeze them and they rarely pop. So
Hmm.
if you put them in a trash bag, they actually last like a couple weeks. They'll start deflating. You throw those away. If it pops, of course, be very careful as soon as a balloon pops to get rid of it and throw it away. Make sure there's no scraps that your child can get a hold of and
Yep.
possibly eat.
Yep.
But balloons are super fun. Your kid's having a tantrum instead of being all reactive and yelling
Hmm.
and screaming back and making the tantrum worse, or
Hmm.
God forbid, you give into the tantrum. We should discuss that. We should have a whole show about tantrums.
We
Do
should.
not
Oh, we
give
don't.
in. Do
No,
not give
no.
in. They could be having their little tantrum in the corner, doing their little tantrum drama dance, and you just throw out 6 balloons on the floor and start bopping them around and playing with them.
Hmm.
I guarantee you, any child will all of a sudden, their brain will flip off the tantrum switch, and it is like switches in their
Hmm.
brain,
Hmm.
turn on
Absolutely.
the what's going on over there switch, and they'll be on there, and the tantrum will be gone, just like
Hmm.
redirecting you do with other things.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. And I think especially with the tantrums too well, and honestly with all discipline and all boundaries is your biggest job, I think, is to model the behavior that you want, right? And so
Clap, clap.
you staying calm and showing how emotional regulation works is going to be so incredibly helpful for your child. So oftentimes, and if you don't have a script, if you don't have something to say, don't say anything. There's a lot of times where my now 3-year-old, my teenager, will be tantruming on the floor or whatever it is that she's doing, and I'll just lay down on the floor next to her
Yeah. No response is
calmly.
often your best response.
Yeah, I'll just lay down beside her while she's laying on the floor doing her thing, and I'll just lay there. And most of the time, actually, I'll bring a snack because
Oh, that's a good idea. A cup of coffee,
right, and I'll bring
a
some things that if
pastry.
while I'm eating it, because one of my things that I tell a lot of my parents too is that a lot of the time emotional dysregulation comes from a place of either being tired or being hangry. Like, so there's some need that they don't know how to voice that maybe isn't being met. But I mean, hangriness is a real thing, and being
Ugh,
overtired is a
I love that.
real thing. So sometimes I'll just go, I'll lay on the floor and I'll have my raspberries. The other day was raspberries, and I'll just pop one in at a time and she watches. And sometimes she screams louder when I lay down on the floor. That's fine, but I'm not going to engage.
Right.
And eventually, she's going to run out of steam, or we're going to distract her with something else because I'll think of something to say, or I'll find something, a new perspective while I'm laying on the floor, like, oh my gosh, look at the stains that are underneath the countertop, whatever the case may
Right.
be.
And
Uh,
one time, when my grandkids lived with me, um, the little one who is now not so little, teenager, but when he was little, the one time he threw a tantrum in the living room, and he's throwing his tantrum, and I'm sitting on the couch near him, and I'm just sitting there going, Gammon. That's what they call me, Gammon, which I kind of like because I feel like I'm from the planet Xenon.
love
But
that.
I'm just sitting there going, Gammon could really use a hug. Oh,
Hmm.
I wish someone would hug Gammon. I really want a hug. I just wish, is anybody out there that can give me a hug? And I just sat there and I kept saying it. And that
Hmm.
little boy crawled on the floor, crawled up my knees, crawled into my lap, and you could feel him just melt.
Yes.
And we hugged tantrum over.
Hmm.
Not, it wasn't addressed, wasn't given into, which is another point I want to make is love,
Hmm.
hugging, affection will never spoil your child. Don't listen to those people that say it
Never.
will. No.
No.
What
Well, and
spoils a child is
mhm,
giving in to
exactly.
their every whim, when they
Yes.
want it, what they want, at the minute they
Hmm.
want it.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, and I think a lot of parents are worried that when my child is having those behaviors, the tantrum, whatever it is, and you go and you coddle them, quote unquote, or you give them a hug that you are giving in, but not necessarily. And I think one of the biggest things is using those words, right? I see that you are having a hard time right now. I know it's disappointing that mommy said no more chocolate, no more TV, no more whatever it is.
Fill in the blank.
That sucks. I'm sorry. And you give them that love and that affection, that understanding and that calm. But again, it's about the behavior, not about the feeling. And that's, I think, the biggest distinction that is so important to make. All feelings are valid. Every single feeling that your
Every
child
last
has,
one
they are allowed to have that feeling. What they do with that feeling
is
is
where you
something
guide them.
separate. Exactly.
Right.
Right. So it's the behavior that comes out of it. So if they're angry, fine, of course they're allowed to be angry. And I think you should encourage them to say it seems like you're not happy, that you're maybe angry. Am I right? Are you angry right now? Yeah. What are we going to do about that? And guiding them
Right. Don't
into
just
what.
tell them what not to do,
Hmm.
guide them what they can do.
Hmm.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
totally agree. It's like that old adage people used to say, if you don't stop crying, I'll give you something to cry about.
Oh,
Well, number one,
yeah.
that's a threat.
Yeah.
Number two, they do have something to cry about if they're crying. You may
Yes.
not agree with it,
Exactly.
but it doesn't mean in their little brain it's not a valid reason to cry.
Hmm. Hmm.
So you're like when you talk about calm, your calm breeds more calm in them.
Exactly.
Your
Hmm.
anger, your yelling, your tantrum
Yeah.
creates more of a tantrum in them.
Yes. It's a vicious cycle. Absolutely.
It
Yeah.
absolutely.
Hmm.
And do not mistake it. I think it goes at the end of that phrase. You are throwing a tantrum. If you
Hmm.
are screaming and yelling and hitting and raging, that is a
An
tantrum,
adult tantrum. That's what that is right
just
there.
like your little one.
Yeah. Hmm.
So you can't fault them for having tantrums if you are modeling tantrums. You get disappointed,
Yeah.
you throw a tantrum.
Hmm.
Well,
And I think that's the next piece of that, I think, is what do you do? So you're going to lose your cool, right? I mean, that's going to happen. So what do you do when that does happen? When you do lose your cool, how do you repair? How do you, go about that? So yeah, your kids, I mean, yeah, parents yell because yelling works, obviously,
right.
right? Yelling works.
I
But
just made a video about that.
oh, there you go. But it's a fear-based model, right? And I don't know that that's what every parent is going to want. Like, you don't want your kids listening to you because they fear you. They fear the consequences. So if you do wind up in a space where you raise your voice or you yell, it's okay to then say, "Oof, I'm sorry.
Right.
Mommy got a little frustrated there," and naming it and calming back down and saying, you know what? I just when we're late for school, I get a little bit stressed out. I'm sorry. That wasn't really the best thing for me to do. So let's try that again. And and you start over. And that's how you
Do-overs,
repair.
they're allowed. And when you apologize, there again, you give them permission to apologize when
Hmm.
they make a mistake because mistakes are not horrible things. They're
Yes. Oh,
learning moments.
I actually brought that up with my family the other day. I loved your post the other day about on purposes. I thought that was
Yeah,
so funny. I was like, we should call them on
we
purposes.
should call them on purposes.
And I try to model that with my kids too. I'm like, mistakes happen and they're great because it gives you a chance to say, I learned something here. And so sometimes when a mistake happens, and especially my boy, he's quite sensitive. He's 6 years old. He's very emotional and he's got a lot of big feelings. And if he makes a mistake, he internalizes and feels so, so bad. And so he'll make a mistake and he'll be sad. He'll be so sad and he'll be worried that he's going to get in trouble. And I'll say, "Oh, good. You made a mistake. That's great. What did we learn? Was it a failed experiment?" And sometimes we'll say that because we like doing experiments. Was it a failed
I like
experiment
it.
or was it something else? And it gives him a chance to think about, first of all, think about and in a different way and open up about what happened.
Right. And your reaction is like if they make a mistake and you react like it's the end of the world, they're going to grow up believing mistakes are the end of the world.
Hmm.
But if you do just what you did with your son and you discuss it, and I love the failed experiments because that's literally what they are. That's
That's what
what
it
life
is.
is. It's like,
Exactly. Series of failed
it's a
experiments.
series of experiments and
Hmm.
choices. And it is very important that parents recognize that you're going to make mistakes. They're going to make mistakes. And if you don't make mistakes, and if they don't make mistakes, they don't grow and you don't grow.
Hmm. Yeah, if you're not making mistakes, you're not learning.
Right. Exactly.
Hmm.
And so you need to understand that and help them to feel
Hmm.
that it's okay. It's just a mistake. So it didn't work out. No big deal. We can do it this way.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and the other thing I want to point out is one of my pet peeves in life. I only have a few pet peeves in life. I like the toilet paper to pull out and over, not under, but
Who
that's for a whole nother.
doesn't, right?
People actually,
Oh,
I'll
no.
be in, okay,
You
sidetrack,
have to like get
ADHD
under the
moments,
toilet paper to grab, like find the
toilet paper.
end.
Yeah,
Oh my
I'll
God,
be like
no.
in like a restroom, in a public restroom. It's going the wrong way and I can easily change it. I change it. Okay, a
Good for
little
you.
obsessive compulsive disorder probably, but I really want the toilet
But
paper
you're
to go the
fixing it for
right
the next
way.
person. I think that's very nice of you to do.
It's thoughtful. That's why I say it's thoughtful.
Yes, yes.
Now come back from the ADH moment of the
Hmm.
podcast and try to remember what we're going to talk about. Oh, I know what I was going to talk about. My pet peeve.
Hmm.
And doctors do this, psychiatrists do this, where you hear us talking about big feelings, they will say big emotions, and they are incorrect because emotions are a level playing field.
Hmm.
Emotions are simply emotions. We got the happy emotion, we got the sad, we're
Hmm.
disappointed, we're frustrated, we're overwhelmed, we're
Hmm.
afraid, we're fearful, we're name your emotion.
Hmm.
They're all emotions. We're excited.
Hmm.
The response to that emotion is what's in a size category.
Hmm.
It's a big feeling. I get upset and now I get overwhelmed and I start getting sweaty or anxious or I might get a
Hmm.
headache. Like those responses are feelings.
Yeah,
They're not emotions. And that's what's difficult for kids to deal with because we are born with a lot of emotions. We
hmm,
are not born with any kind of emotional intelligence or regulation. That is where
correct.
we come in as parents.
Hmm. Yeah. And it's so important for kids to experience like a full breadth of emotions and to be able to name them, right? And I think there's been a term that's been thrown around like name it to tame it. I think I really enjoy that, right? The one thing that I would caution is to try not to, especially with older kids, is to try not to put words in their mouth. So, with teenagers, but with sort of 4, 5, 6 years old, is to try not to say, oh, you're angry, because maybe they're frustrated,
They
maybe
may
it's
not
maybe
be
it's
angry, right?
not that. So asking them to help you name it might be helpful. But I do think that name it to tame it is really, really important with kids who don't have the language yet or the understanding yet, right?
Right.
And I even talk about this in my book too, is when your children are experiencing things like under a year old, like really, really, really little ones, mimicking their feeling with your face, with your expressions, can be really helpful because then they can see what it looks like on another human. Right. And one of my
I
favorite
love
games
that.
to play actually with our daughter, my husband started this and it's really fun, is when we have a big feeling. When we start, screaming or yelling about whatever it is that we're not getting our way.
Got challenges? We got answers. Download the Be a Better Parent app. And when anything stops you, put it in. Ask it for help, and you'll get solutions right away. All based on Celia's 40 plus years of experience. Don't we all just want to be a better parent? Be a better parent. Available on the app and Google Play Store. Download the app now.
One of his redirect moments is, oh, that was a good one. Oh, my turn. Mommy! And then he'll take his turn. And so
I love
and so
that.
we'll go around and we'll take turns doing our whiny voice or our angry voice or our whatever voice. And it becomes a game, but it also names the emotion. It also validates what they're
It's
feeling.
also teaching. Right.
Yes, it
Right.
becomes a really wonderful, playful moment. And I do find that anytime that you can take something negative and turn it into play in a constructive way, that's where you're winning.
Absolutely. And you will hear me say all the time that laughter really is the best medicine. It really
Hmm.
is. If
Hmm.
you can turn a struggle into a humorous moment and then you guys start laughing,
Hmm.
then number one, you can even approach it and talk about it easily because no one's mad anymore. They're laughing.
Hmm.
Okay, so what was funny about that? We go, what were you feeling? What was going
Hmm.
on? Ask
Hmm.
questions. Questions are the gateway to communication. But
Yes.
ask
Hmm.
questions. Don't
Hmm.
just assume, like you said, don't tell them what they're feeling. Ask them how they're feeling. And there
Hmm.
are certain ages that they're not going to be able to express. Do
Hmm.
not expect a 1 year old to know what they're feeling. I've told this story before because it cracks me up, but it applies what we're saying here. When my grandson was 18 months old, we went to a restaurant and my son was upset with him because he was busy looking out the window and looking at he wasn't really doing anything bad. He was just looking at things. He was being
Hmm.
curious. And he stated, and this is the only time I interjected after I just told you I don't interject. He said, "This is why we don't go to restaurants." This is to his 18-month-old, because you don't know how to act. And I looked at him and I said, let me give you a clue. He doesn't know how to act, period.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to act. He is just being a little kid, an 18-month-old. He doesn't
Yeah.
say, like, okay, I'm in a restaurant. I should just sit here with my hands folded and,
No. And you know
nonsense.
what? And they shouldn't. And I'm so sorry,
Right,
but they
right. I
shouldn't.
agree. I agree.
No. And that's one of the funny memes that you see about like when you go out to dinner as a family, usually it's one parent sitting at the table eating while the other parent is running around or taking the kids outside for a walk. And
Now,
then you
I've
and then you
walked
trade
many a
off,
child around the
right?
restaurants or
You can't expect them. Well, I mean, maybe you can expect them, but I don't know that it's reasonable to expect any child under the age of what, 8 to sit
to constantly
politely
sit.
for an
Right.
entire dinner. Oh my goodness. We tell our kids like the number of minutes that they are old. Like that's so I expect my six-year-old to sit at the table for 6 minutes, and it doesn't even have to be consecutive. But I want you to sit at the table for 6 minutes. That's my expectation. The 3-year-old's 3 minutes, because that's about the attention span that they're going to have. And
Yeah.
if they want to get up and run around the kitchen, all right.
I had when my son was 3, was around the time the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out. He's
Mm,
37 now, so
we
it's left
loved we
to
loved
talk
those when
about
we
it.
were kids too. Yeah.
And he would never sit at the table, and we would be like, we would spend our night dinners like trying to get him to sit down at the table.
Mhm.
And so Ninja Turtles came out, and invented Ninja Bites. And feel free, parents, to use this. And it doesn't
Mhm.
have to be Ninja; it could be any of their favorite characters. Could be
Mhm.
Pound Puppies or Pep Puppy, whatever your favorite character is.
Yeah.
And they can be those character bites. So we lived in a townhome that had the steps going up the middle of the house. So you
Mhm.
could literally run a lap from dining room, living room, foyer, kitchen
Nice.
around these things. So he would run a lap. He'd start at the dining room, come around back to the dining room. I'd say ninja bite. He would take a bite. He would have to chew his food before he ran another lap, and he'd run another lap. We literally spent about a year eating our dinner this way. He ate
Right.
all of his dinner
Yeah.
because it was so fun. And we ate
Mhm.
dinner enjoyable. Sometimes you got to be creative. And
Yeah. And
in
meet them where
case
they're
you're
at.
worried that he's 37 years old and he still has to take ninja bites, no, he
Can
can
you imagine?
actually sit at a table and enjoy
Yeah.
a meal with other people that
Yeah.
sit at a table. I'm not
Absolutely.
sure he likes to, but it did not, affect the
No.
future of his life. Be
Well,
creative.
there was a lot of stuff actually that came out around Christmas time about expectations with kids, and I thought it was so excellent, right? We expect almost more out of children than we even do out of adults, right? You're going to a family gathering, and so, oh, why don't you just push their nap back? Or why don't you just skip their nap? It's one day, right? Why don't you, what, put on this dress that's itchy and whatever, or come and stand here and be in this photo. Like you wouldn't do that to another adult. Like if they said, no, I really don't want my picture taken, like, what are you going to do? Be like, no, come stand here, please, and smile. Like, you wouldn't do it to another adult, but we do it to our kids all the time. And obviously, you can't let them get away with every behavior, right? But we do sometimes, I think, place more expectations on them when they're not little adults, as you said at the very beginning of this episode. And so sometimes it's about compromise, sometimes it's about choosing one thing, one behavior that you think is really important and holding that boundary firm, but sometimes you just got to let them be kids.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's important to remember that there are things in life that are negotiable, and there
Mhm.
are things in life that are not negotiable, regardless. Like when we talked about safety, climbing a
Yeah.
shelf, I had a parent who said to me, "Well, when my 2-year-old goes into the parking lot, they won't let me hold their hand or pick them up, and they scream."
Let them scream.
And she says, "What should I do?" I said, "So you're choosing between crying or dying.
Hmm.
That's the choice you're giving your child. Okay, well, don't cry. Go ahead, run into a parking lot where no car could possibly see you and get run over."
Hmm.
No, I don't
Yeah.
care if they cry. Pick that child up, grab that child
Hmm.
by the hand, and take them safely to the car.
Yeah.
They don't know
Hmm.
that they could die, but you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And
if
you
there's
can
a
tell
choice,
them that. You can tell them this is non-negotiable. You can
right?
say that. And I actually do. I say that to my
Exactly.
kids all the time when there's
Right.
something that is an unsafe. And I think I was like, your safety is non-negotiable. And they don't even know what
Right.
negotiable means. And so I'll be like, do you know what that means? It means that you do not have any power here to change my mind. That's
Right.
what that means. My
Exactly.
job first is to keep you safe.
That's right. And
First
that's
job,
non-negotiable. But
keeping
there
you
are
happy,
things
lower on
that
the list.
are negotiable. And
Hmm.
even like when transitions are difficult, I asked my child to come take a bath and they're
Hmm.
playing. Well, there's a lot of respect built into that. And
Hmm.
what you need to do is you need to recognize that when you want your child to stop doing something, the second you want them to do it, That is disrespectful. And it is no different than them, you being on the phone and them coming over and going, mommy, 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 and
Mm-hmm.
you going, stop.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm off this phone, we will do something. Same thing when you walk over to them, they're playing with cars, which you happen to think is just them playing with cars, but it's important to them.
Mm-hmm. They're in the middle of
And you
something.
say,
Yeah.
stop playing with cars, time to take a bath. And then they cry because you're being just as disrespectful as they were. And you're teaching them that.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if instead you say, honey, I see you're playing with cars. It's almost time to take a bath. Do you want 1 or 2 minutes to play?
Love that. Give them the power back, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They choose when to. I mean, the time is yours. You're not going to say, when do you want to stop playing your cars?
Mm-hmm.
Thursday. Thursday, I'll stop playing with my cars.
Thursday sounds
No.
good.
Give them an option. Do you want 1 or 2 more minutes? Two. They may say one. Whatever they say, go with it.
Mm-hmm.
And say, okay, honey, I'm going to set my alarm. And at 2 minutes, when the alarm goes off, what are you going to do? I'm going to take a bath. And you will be, like so many people say to me, that was like magic.
Mm-hmm.
I did it. I asked them. I did what you said, and they
Yeah.
did what I asked. And
Giving,
that's
yeah.
because it is respect,
Mm-hmm.
not magic. And you are showing them that you actually respect them. And your whole job in this world is not to control what they do what I say, when I say it, how I say it, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You are giving back a
Mm-hmm.
little control,
Yeah.
which will give you a lot of cooperation.
Yeah. And that can look like different things too. And I love that because I oftentimes at bedtime, for example, it's time to read books, it's time for bed, and my son's busy playing. And I'll say, do you want a couple more minutes or do you want to bring your magnet tiles onto the couch and you can play with them during the first book and then we'll put them away for the second. And then he gets to choose if he wants a few more minutes to play or if he just wants to sit beside me well, because the expectation is that we read books together because we're winding down.
And it's very good for them. You should
It's
read books together,
absolutely, oh, we read so many books. I love
even when
that.
they're older and they can read
Yes.
themselves. Read books
Yes.
together.
Mm-hmm. So I think giving them those choices, giving them some empowerment to make those choices, because then they feel like they've got some control. And transitions are hard for everyone. Every child, no matter the age, transitions are difficult. If you're in the middle of something, you're not just going to
And
drop it
you
and go
want
do
to
something else.
respect that.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you want your child to respect you when you're in the middle of something. If you
Mm-hmm.
demand they stop the minute you ask, why shouldn't they demand you stop when they ask
Mm-hmm.
you?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same
Mm-hmm.
thing. There's no difference in that scenario.
Yeah, yeah. But again, and I think this is where a lot of parents will falter, is you're giving them a choice, right? You're saying, do you want A or B? It's not negotiating like the yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Right? That's not what it looks like. Because it's going to be a little bit more difficult, obviously, if your child is saying, no, I'm not going to come for books. And then then they have the power and you're trying to be like, okay, well, you're going to come for books because I said so. Like that's not how that works. You want to give them two discrete choices, give them the power to choose, especially when they're younger. I mean, that doesn't work quite so well, I think, when
Yeah.
they're a little bit older, but
And
yeah,
I have a whole choices cheat sheet,
nice.
actually, that goes in depth about giving good choices in my parenting playbooks, which you can get
Mm-hmm.
on my site. Little plug for beabetterparent.com. Go to beabetterparent.com, go to the store. It's called the store. I don't know what it's called. Something where you buy stuff and you'll find the parenting playbooks and
Mm-hmm.
gives you all directions on how to give choices. I think it is
Mm-hmm.
playbook number 2.
Nice.
But it's important to remember that what builds respect between a parent and a child, even at a young age, is you offering respect and showing what respect is. Yelling
Mm-hmm.
is not and never will be respectful.
Mm-hmm.
Smacking your child is not and never will be respectful. So if you
No.
want them to respect you, you have to respect them, even the little ones.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that actually those consequences, it's so hard to know. And I know my husband struggles with this too. Like if you say something like we need to do this or there's going to be a consequence, because sometimes that's what happens. And we actually talk a lot about natural consequences in our
Right.
family.
And it
And
shouldn't be
I
the same consequence
Right.
all
And
for every
no,
single
and
thing.
it should fit the
Crime.
punishment should fit the crime.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
And so we do talk about, and I actually probably made a bit of a mistake here, but we talk about, sharing. And I talk to my son, I'm like, you can have some toys that are not sharing toys. Like this is a not
Right,
sharing toy. That's okay. But these toys, these blocks that mommy and daddy bought for you and your sister are sharing toys. And you don't have to share, but the consequence of not sharing is that people might not want to play with you
right,
because, right? And so if they're knocking down, if we're building something and they keep knocking it down, whatever we're building, we might say, you know what? I think I'm going to take a break from playing with you because you aren't respecting my what I'm
right.
building. You keep knocking it down, and I will not play with them. That's the consequence, and that in and
That's
of
a natural
itself
consequence.
is enough.
Exactly.
And if my daughter's climbing on the bench and I say, you know what, natural consequences, Ellie, if you are climbing on that bench, you're gonna fall off, crack your head open, and bleed out and die, right? Like it's a bit of a joke, obviously, but I will say that just so that they are like, oh, okay, like
There
right,
needs to
just
be
because they
some
probably
humor.
don't think, but they don't really necessarily think about the safety aspect of it. They're just doing something
Right,
that's
because
fun
they
and they
don't
haven't thought
know.
about the
They
consequences,
don't know.
right? And so it comes to so my husband, for example, like his default is timeouts.
Right.
And I
And
don't
it's
love
not
that, but
appropriate for every single,
it's
appropriate for
not.
some things, but
Yes,
not
and
across the
I
board.
think safety things is one of the things. Like there's a hard line. There's a few behaviors that we absolutely do not tolerate, and those are timeout behaviors. But for example, I mean, if your child is hitting
I was just going to say that. I'm
your
telling you,
other
you get like two people, old person telling you the same thing that the young person's telling you.
right, so hitting's non-negotiable. Hitting's not okay. It doesn't matter how you're
Right.
feeling.
Not
Hitting's not
okay.
okay.
They're not expressing their
Right.
feelings. They're
Except in
expressing a
self-defense, but whatever,
reaction.
that's a whole other thing. But right, so hitting's not okay. And so in some scenarios, right, you will physically stop them and say, I'm not going to let you hit your sister. But there are times if
Did
you
we live together in a previous
we
life?
may have just kindred spirits,
Just cracks me
Celia.
up.
We are.
How
And so you
identical we are. We were
right, so
twins,
step
separated at
one
birth
is
by
separated.
30 years.
I love it. Um, so step one is to stop the behavior and say, I'm setting this boundary.
I,
I'm
right.
not going to
First
let
person,
you
not mommy. You
hit
are
your
mommy.
sister.
I,
I'm not letting you. And
right.
that's the action. I'm like, I'm gonna hold you and I'm not gonna let you. But if one of my children, it's usually the other way around. It's usually my 3-year-old hitting my 6-year-old. If my 3-year-old smacks my 6-year-old and he's clearly upset, and I go to her and stop her from hitting, I don't love that. And so in that scenario, she's going in a timeout so that I can attend my 6-year-old.
Right.
And that's, I think, the only time I really use timeouts is when I'm in a situation where I can't be that physical barrier with her. Like I can't be with you right now. I'm so sorry. Like I understand that you're upset, you're agitated, whatever emotion led you to hit, but I need you to go over there for my safety and for your brother's
Right.
safety.
And that's when you separate. Even the
Hmm.
littlest kid is
Hmm.
hitting you,
Yes.
and you say, I will not let you hit me. And yeah, they are in your arms. Put them down.
Hmm.
They need to learn that if I'm going to hold you, you're not smacking me.
Hmm.
So
Yep.
now, hey, we're no longer together.
Hmm.
Putting them down itself is like a natural consequence. I'm not going to hold you while you're beating me up,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Yeah.
And then they'll be like, pick me up. Well, I'll pick you up, but you can't hit.
Hmm.
You hit again,
I'm putting you down.
consistent consequences
Exactly.
for the same behavior, they get
Hmm.
down again. And
Hmm.
if they're really out of control, then maybe that point they get a timeout somewhere even farther from you.
Yeah, yep. And one thing that I do want to point out is I personally believe that a child's bedroom should be a safe space for them. So I don't usually
Yes,
ever
yes,
do timeouts in the bedroom.
100%. One,
Hmm.
0, 0, 100%.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yes.
I do the bottom of the stairs usually. You sit them on a step. And when I say usually, I mean I think I've done 3 timeouts ever. Like it's
Right.
so uncommon that I need to escalate
To
to a
that.
timeout. But I would do it on the bottom of the stairs, and then their room becomes their safe space. And my son now,
Right.
my
You
my
don't
big
want them to think
feelings
their room is
son,
punishment.
yeah. So he'll go up to his room when he needs to regulate, and he'll sometimes say like, "I need some quiet time. I need some space," and we'll say absolutely. And we actually
And
talk.
that's when you know you're doing a good
You're doing a good
parenting
job,
thing when
right?
they themselves
See,
know they need
I
time.
need to get out of this situation. And what I talk with my son about, and well, my daughter too, but she doesn't really listen to this as much. But I talk to my son about is total privacy or talk privacy. So sometimes when he's having those big feelings, he really truly just wants to be alone. And then maybe I'll go in later and check on him and see how he's doing. But sometimes I say, do you just want talk privacy where we can sit together, but I won't say anything? I'll
Love
give him a
that.
hug, but I won't say anything. So
Sometimes
he can
that's all they
just,
need.
yeah.
And sometimes they want you close, and sometimes they don't want you close, like
Hmm.
during a tantrum.
Hmm.
Sometimes they want you close. I remember one time back to Mason, my tantrum boy.
Hmm.
This room that I'm sitting in used to be their bedroom.
Hmm.
So he was having a tantrum. And I was like, you really need, he was kicking, he was doing something like, you really need to like stay. We have a very small house. There was nowhere for him to go. So just stay in your room. You can sit because I also believe in like a calm place, like a happy place.
Yep.
No electronics, but they could have stuffed animals and
Hmm.
books and puzzles and things just to calm them. And he's like, and he didn't want to stay in. So, so we went back and forth and he lay down on the threshold of the door. And so on his belly, half of his body was outside in the hallway and the other half was inside. I'm like, good compromise. I'm going with that. That
Yeah.
works for me, worked for you. He
Great.
calmed down and it wasn't
Whatever they
hardly
need.
any time
Yeah.
before we were back playing together. And
Hmm.
and don't threaten your child, or what am I trying to say? Don't behave differently because they acted a certain way.
Hmm.
They're not doing it to be mean to you.
No, they're just having a
They
hard
don't
time.
know how to regulate their
Hmm.
emotions.
Hmm.
They're not doing, I know you saw a lot of parents would be like, oh, they're being so mean to me. No, they're not.
Yeah.
That's a foreign concept at a certain age. And
Hmm.
remember, when you give instruction, this is one more thing I want to bring up. Make sure it's concise. Remember, we talked about
Yes.
expectations. Also,
Hmm.
make sure you're not just giving a general instruction like, oh, set the table.
Yeah.
But do
Yeah.
they know how to set the
We don't
table?
even know what
Did they
that
get any
means.
kind of training? We
Hmm.
did,
Hmm.
but they didn't. So if you're giving a general instruction, before you just offer up a general instruction, make sure it's something they know how to do. Even clean this mess up
It's not.
doesn't give them
Yep.
enough concise step by step.
You're
Put
absolutely
these
right.
books on the
Hmm.
shelf, please. Put your cars in the bucket, whatever.
Hmm.
Great job. Now you cleaned up the room. And now, as that happens repetitively after about 5 times, they now know where to start to clean up a room. Okay, I have to put my books here. I have to put my cars in the bucket. I have to put my laundry in the laundry basket. Clean
Hmm.
up.
Hmm.
This has been very good. And we could probably talk about this forever. So we may have to have stage two.
We
But
might.
really realize that they're not little adults.
Mm-mm.
Do not expect them to respond to you like an adult. It is not difficult for them. It's impossible. You are asking the impossible.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
are their coach, their teacher, their guide. Don't do everything for them. You are not their doer.
Hmm.
Give them the time to learn new skills,
Yeah.
and they're awesome.
Yeah. So I think what if we were to boil this down, because this was a really great episode, but if we were to boil this down into sort of the take home points, like number one, I think is to stay calm when you can. I mean, and then you're not gonna do this
Right. Give
perfectly.
yourself grace.
Right. So staying calm and modeling the behavior that you want, I think is one thing. And showing your children respect, giving them choices, understanding that things are difficult, I think is probably number two. And then my big number three is that there's a difference between emotions and actions, right? Like you
Right.
said, emotions and feelings. So they're allowed to and they should feel the full spectrum of emotions. That's part of the human experience. But helping them to learn what to do with those emotions when they have them it's hard to do, right? Easier said than done, but that's going to be the big challenge, and that's something that you can do with them,
Right.
right?
And
This,
practice it. Don't expect them to just pick it up and like, oh,
hmm.
didn't we go over this yesterday?
Yes.
They're three, they're two. They-
Hmm.
It doesn't matter they went over it yesterday. Yesterday is like a mile away for them. It's not
Hmm.
like just one day,
Yeah. Yeah,
miles away.
absolutely.
So
And
you have to
especially
repeat things.
with those younger kids, but I think all the way through is one habit to get into is to ask for the behavior that you want rather than telling them what not to do, because sometimes they don't know where to redirect.
Right.
You tell them not to hit. Well, what am I going to do with my anger? How do
What do I
I
do instead?
place this? Right.
So we're not always just telling them what not to do. Your job is to tell them what to do. And
Mhm.
if you don't know what to do, learn a better way.
Mhm.
Reach out to me, reach out to Dr. Kaler. I
Mhm.
combined your names. That's just easier.
I like
Dr.
that.
Kelly. And reach out to us. We're both here to help. And there's not
Mhm.
just us, there's other humans roaming the planet that know how to help you.
Mhm.
Go with who, if you're not comfortable with us, go find someone you're comfortable with. Go
Mhm.
learn a better way because many adults don't have emotional intelligence and don't know how to regulate their
No, and they
emotions.
weren't raised in a way that gave them those
Exactly.
skills. That's not your fault.
That's not, you're
Yeah.
not, the world wants to think you're the problem. You're not the problem. You're the answer.
Mhm.
Your kids need you.
Yes, they do. I love
Be
that.
willing to learn a better way. Be willing to take advice and don't just try it. Be consistent because the
Mhm.
consistency is what's going to make it work. We try it one time and it doesn't work. Or, like one mom said to me, I tried that routine thing. It's not a thing, it's mandatory.
Mhm.
Routines are golden.
Mhm.
So don't just try, be consistent.
Mhm.
Opposite of success is giving up. It's not failure. It's not mistakes. It's giving up. That's the opposite. So don't give up. You're worth it. Your kids are worth it. And your peace of mind is worth it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Kelly, for being here with me. I love our conversations. I love that we match
Always.
and we didn't even call each other or send each other
I know.
messages.
I
We
know.
even have gold necklaces on. Like,
We
it's hard to
do.
tell us apart, isn't it? You don't know who's who. It's a good thing we have names.
It's a
So,
good thing.
well, we'll be back next week
Mhm.
for another episode of Raising Eyebrows. And please, we really encourage you that if you like the podcast, leave a message, share it with other people so they also get the same benefit. If you have an idea you want us to address, I heard this and it just sounds kind of crazy,
Mhm.
send it to us. Address one of us. Go to beabetterparent.com and send a message. Send it through the pod. Can you send things through the podcast? I, I don't
You can
really
leave
know if you can
comments.
do it.
Absolutely. You can leave
Go to
comments. Yeah.
vitalswithdrbuller.com. And I said that right. Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Reach out. We're both here to help you.
Mhm.
And that's why we're trying to debunk the junk and get really clear on all this crazy clickbait that's making it so hard to be a parent in
Mhm.
this day of life, of year, of century, of whatever I'm trying to say. It's hard to be a parent. So please share this out if you liked it. Message us. You want to address something, just let us know. We are
Mhm.
both super grateful that you spent this time with us today. And as always, I wish you days filled with peace, love, tons of laughter. Really is the best
The best
medicine.
medicine.
It is. And Dr. Kelly, do you have any last messages?
No, just remember that you're already doing such a great job. And if you're here listening to this, it means that you want to learn. And so, just again, we're so grateful and good for you. And I want to acknowledge that. And I wish you the best of luck. It will be hard, but you're doing awesome already. And I think it's just up from here.
Absolutely. And we'll see you on the next episode of Raising Eyebrows in the Be a Better Parent podcast. Bye bye, everybody. We're so glad you were here. Thank you so much for joining us, and we truly hope you'll be here next time.
And if you are looking for a little dose of sanity on any other topic, please feel free to let us know, leave us a comment, and we will be sure to bust that myth too.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.